India Today is the only channel at the epicenter of the violence in Bangladesh. India Today's Ashutosh Mishra reports from ground zero, brings us the latest situation and the tensions on ground.
Usman Hadi has led to arrest, but raising several questions. How in a broad daylight he was shot dead? Where are those shooters? When the government, police agency, intelligence says the shooter have been identified, they remain in Bangladesh. Who was the key factor? What was the catalyst that played a propaganda that shooters of Hadi escaped to India? Several such questions that is questioning Dr. Yunus administration and their failure to contain the violence and the situation in Bangladesh. This is Ashutosh Mishra reporting from ground zero in Dhaka in Bangladesh.
Is the situation likely to improve or go from bad to worse? Joining me on this India Today special broadcast, Ambassador Veena Sikri, India's former High Commissioner to Bangladesh, Lieutenant General Tiny Dhillon, former Director General of India's Defence Intelligence Agency. Joining us from ground zero, Bangladesh, is Muqtadir Rashid Romeo, a journalist, and Subir Bhaumik is a senior journalist and author who's been tracking Bangladesh very closely. Muqtadir, from ground zero in Bangladesh, the massive crowd that you saw that gathered at Usman Hadi's funeral, and a mere 7 arrested, many say token arrested in the lynching of a Hindu man. There are many concerns that minorities are no longer safe in Bangladesh.
Thank you for having me. I don't think so. I don't think that the Bangladeshi minorities are at stake. They are also the part of a very mainstreaming politics and other things. And this is a false accusation have been propagated by international and regional, some of the regional media, and which I don't believe, because I have many Hindu friends who are really doing the top position of the media, civil service, and other places. So how do you see the persecution of them when the celebration of Durga Puja was most
we just saw a Hindu man being lynched, tied to a tree and killed. Are you saying this is how minorities will be treated in Bangladesh? And a token arrest, Ambassador Sikri, and this isn't an isolated incident. There have been multiple such instances. Are minorities free in Bangladesh, or are journalists also in Bangladesh now propagating what Muhammad Yunus tells them to?
Absolutely. Actually, the question is that right from the minute Sheikh Hasina's plane left Dhaka on 5th of August 2024, the first target, there were 2 targets. One was the attack on the minorities, the Hindu, Buddhist, Christians, and Ahmadiyyas and Sufis, all the minorities, Muslim minorities and other minorities. And the second was the attack on everything to do with the Awami League, whether it was Sheikh Mujib statue or Awami League headquarters or Dhanmandi residence and so on. So we know that the attack on minorities has been persistent. It has been documented by the UN. Even Volker Turk has mentioned it, although he's not given the details. Prathom Alo, leading Bangladesh newspaper, mentioned, in fact, detailed mention of the attacks on the minorities, all carried in the Bangladesh media, and subsequently we have the details provided by so much of the regional media in Kolkata and other places. But Muhammad Yunus has his eyes closed to it.
No, so is that the reason then, and ma'am, stay with me for a moment, is that the reason, Muqtadir, that Pratham Olo was targeted and the Daily Star were targeted? Why would newspapers be targeted? Why would Chhayanaut, for example, be targeted if this wasn't rising radicalism in Bangladesh, sir? Muqtadir.
Is this a question to me?
Yes, sir.
I don't think so. It's because of a long-standing kind of a very significant amount of intent and hatred has been propagated in Bangladesh. Because you see hardly people know about India, the relation with India. Whenever the Indian authorities pinching their nose and when they are propagating every time against Bangladesh, so people are very much agree with this. The Bangladeshi, after the 5th August, they wanted to have very good relation with every neighbor. But what we have seen every time, propaganda against Bangladesh. So Bangladeshi people are now very afraid of what India is doing, because they are believing that many of the League leaders who are conspiring from India, and
That is
then
why
their
these
impact is
Bangladeshi people who are
now in
scared
Bangladesh.
will either lynch Hindus, or they will burn Pratham Alo, or they will burn the
No.
office of Daily Star, and they will
It's not a
burn
Hindu.
down
It's
Chhayanaut,
a
which is
man.
Bengali music,
We
Bengali culture,
consider him
Bengali
as a
art.
man. There are lots of lynching incidents has been taking place in Bangladesh since 5th August, which is very unfortunate, which is absolutely unfortunate. The Dr. Muhammad Yunus just said that the 7 suspected criminals were arrested, but that's not enough at all, because that should be stopped. And we have been saying that it must be stopped. This such a mob should be stopped. But yet, we don't want to see this is in a optics of religion, or in a sect, or as
Oh,
a
of course,
caste.
secular lynching,
It's
sir.
a phenomenon.
Absolutely. Secular lynching. Nothing to do with religion. Let me bring in
I
Subir
would say
Bhaumik.
this-
Let me bring in Subir Bhaumik. I can understand that Bangladeshis say it's hatred for India. Explain, Subir Bhaumik, what is your reading of burning down the offices of Pratham Alo and Daily Star and Chhayanaut, which is all about Bengali music, Bengali culture, Bengali art, operating since 1961?
Let me make one thing very, very clear. What is happening in Bangladesh today is a complete all-out attack on the very values that made 1971 and the independence of Bangladesh possible. It's an attack. Osman Hadi's killing, what has Chhayanaut and Udichi got to do with it? But Udichi has been attacked before. These people have been attacked before. This is a direct attack on the very identity, the secular, linguistic, nationalist identity, which made Bangladesh possible. Today, the ghost of Pakistan has returned, and these people who are doing it are actually going to facilitate. It's all a plan, a larger game plan to facilitate an Islamist takeover of the country. Now, in Bengali, we say Shak diye maach dhaka. You cannot cover up a huge problem by posing or feigning ignorance that everything is fine, everything is okay. I am against the idea that only X is attacked or Y is attacked. It's not just the Hindus, it's the Sufis who have been attacked. Islam grew in the Bengal frontier courtesy the Sufis, okay? It's not the Salafist
Okay.
Wahhabi Islam. In Bangladesh, the Sufis
No, but
are a
let me get
factor.
Muqtadir.
Why?
Let me get Muqtadir to respond to why would Chhaya not be targeted? Why would symbols of Bengali culture or music or art and literature be targeted, sir?
It's definitely by far right wing, because the growing anti-Indian sentiment is taken by the hardliners, and of course some of the major far right groups, and they are taking advantage
This
of it.
anti-Indian
And
sentiment.
we are very much shocked with this.
Okay.
We are very much shocked with this. We are extremely shocked with this. We are very much shocked with this.
No, but
Whenever Prothom is attacked, it's a feeling like that.
General Dhillon, before I bring
But
in Ambassador Sikri, General Dhillon, the secular liberal Bengalis have been shocked since the day Sheikh Hasina was ousted. They remain in shock, and yet they remain silent, it seems.
Good evening, Gaurav, and good evening to fellow panelists and viewers. One thing which has to be understood is that 1971 liberation of Bangladesh happened because Bengali Musliman of Bangladesh were not happy with the Punjabi Pakistani Musliman dominated Pakistan army. The type of atrocities the Punjabi Pakistanis carried out on the Bengalis, and people are still alive who have seen 1971 and issues leading up to that. And today it's very easy for the guest on the show to say it's an anti-India sentiment. If it is an anti-India sentiment, why the local Bengali citizens of Bangladesh of a particular national religious domination are being attacked? Why the symbols of secularism being attacked? Why the MDRs are being attacked? Why the Sufis are being attacked? If it is an anti-India sentiment, why the local citizens of Bangladesh are being attacked? And let me be very clear about it. Anti-India sentiment will not last very long. Bangladesh is India locked. Let's not have any doubts about it. It is India locked, and it cannot survive without India's support and friendly relationship.
And
It
yet
came
they
into
seem to be
existence. It
encouraging
came
it.
into existence because of India. It must remain into existence with friendly relations as neighborly at equal terms with India. This rhetoric of anti-India sentiments does not hold water in today's international diplomacy and international relations.
But I want to
Let
bring in
that be very
Ambassador
clear.
Sikri, because Ambassador Sikri, you were our High Commissioner in Bangladesh at a time when there was a hostile government. Is the situation as bad now, or even worse now, where these radical Islamists have virtually taken over the country and the civil society is either afraid, unwilling, unable, or complicit in not calling them out?
Absolutely. You know, when I was there, you're right, there was Begum Khalida Zia's government in alliance with the Jamaat-e-Islami. Now, of course, it was a very difficult government. On security issues, we had a very difficult time. And Pakistan was trying at that time also to get into, every aspect of Bangladesh life. But what I see today, it began last August by bringing in a lot of deja vu for me, because it was very similar to what Pakistan was trying to do then. But what I've seen today is gone far beyond that, because Pakistan has overturned everything of the last 54 years. They have never been able to embed themselves in the Bangladesh army as they have done today. They have never been able to reverse all the decisions of the last 54 years, like visa restrictions, trade, cargo inspection, studying in each other. All that has been reversed. And they are forcing, Muhammad Yunus is like putty in their hands. Jamaat-e-Islami is the one controlling it, and he is the one driving it. This is repeated reference to anti-Indian sentiments by your panelists from Bangladesh is absolutely what they are trying to create. This is what the Islamists have been doing from day one. Now the Jamaat-e-Islami has even forgotten its partnership with BNP. They don't want BNP at all as a partner.
Yes.
And the other Islamists as a partner.
But Muqtadir, is there an apprehension that Bangladesh could become the next Pakistan or worse, and which will be very bad for your country, sir?
No, it will not be Pakistan, but it will be an Ukraine for South Asia. That you should be worried about. And I'm also worried about this because some international players are now playing in Bangladesh. Then they want Jamaat to be in power for future, and there will be huge trouble in the days ahead. So that's what we are worried. But that is not the concern that there will be another Pakistan, because Bangladeshi people don't like that kind of relation anymore. And they
Sir,
don't want
I
to
have
go
been
for any
hearing
kind
this
of.
since the day Sheikh Hasina was ousted, but each day the news is even worse than the previous day. Initially, temples were being targeted, then churches were being targeted, minorities were being targeted. We were seeing videos of minorities being asked to leave their jobs, whether it's in the police or in education. Sir, that's exactly how radical Islamists behave even in Pakistan. Burn down schools, target religious institutions, target minorities, and then radical Islamists rule. Isn't that what is happening today, sir?
Not exactly what you are saying, but sometimes some incidents is taking place. But we think that every time happens when there is a major party, when they fell off and their prime minister had to leave. But the thing is, I believe there are certain people inside the Dr. Yunus government. They are supporting Jamaat, and there are religious version everywhere, so that there would be a fear that people, you must go, you have to do. Even many secular people are not, they can't work nowadays. Many journalists who are very outspoken, they are now self-censored. So this is happening. That is fact. But the way, the optics you have of minority torture, I don't believe in that.
Sir, I just saw a
That
Hindu
is
man being
another
lynched.
question.
Those videos are horrifying, Subir. Subir Bhaumik, when you look at that video, a man is stripped because he's a Hindu. He's beaten up because he's Hindu. He's hung from a tree because he's Hindu. And then he's burnt. And there are hundreds of people who are there. Not 1, 2, 3. Hundreds who are filming it. Not one helping him. Subir Bhaumik, if this isn't what rising radicalism is, Subir Bhaumik, what else is?
Well, these things or worse have happened, and this has not just happened to Hindus. Let me make a point of this. Women have been raped because somebody was a wife of a ex-Awami League leader who has fled the country, or, after the fall of Sheikh Hasina's government, and that rape scene was filmed and then circulated. So, as a Bengali, I feel ashamed that somebody who speaks my language and shares my common culture could be doing these kind of things. It's not just that this has happened to the Hindus. What I'm trying to insist on is that this kind of sustained state-sponsored brutality, because none of these people are ever arrested. Yunus, speaks very nicely. He appeals to the Western media. Angrezi bol leta hai, Nobel laureate and all that nonsense that goes with his persona. But on ground, look at this. He has released, he has given indemnity to all these troublemakers. He has released scores of hardline Islamist extremists who were convicted. People like Jashimuddin Rahmani, the chief of Ansarullah Bangla team. Now, let's not, shark diye maas dhakar kono sujog nei. There is no scope for covering up. The thing here is that Yunus and Jamaat-e-Islami and these Islamists are made for each other today.
And
Yunus wants to become the president of...
Ambassador
wait, Gaurav, let me finish.
Okay.
Yunus, this is the game plan. Yunus wants to be the president because he wants immunity from prosecution for the many do-numbery stuff that he has been doing. Money laundering, etc., etc. The list is long. He wants to be president for getting immunity from prosecution and to get control of the armed forces. The Jamaat wants Yunus because he will be
He's an international face. So now let me bring in Ambassador Sikri. Let me bring in Ambassador Sikri quickly into this conversation because I really want to understand, is the situation likely to become worse, hopefully, before it gets better?
No, I think the situation is getting very bad, but the only answer, the only solution to the situation is to have free, fair and inclusive elections.
But that's not possible.
No,
Awami League is banned.
No, I actually, Muhammad Yunus himself gave an interview in September in New York. And when he was asked by the interviewer, why have you banned the Awami League? He said, I haven't banned the Awami League. I have only banned the activities of the Awami League. And when the interviewer asked him that can they participate in the elections, he said the election commission will decide. So this is just a fake cover to ban the Awami League because the Jamaat-e-Islami is completely unhappy with that the popularity is not coming to them. The NCP is unhappy, the popularity is not coming to them. So to make sure that they are declared victors, they have banned the Awami League and the Jatiya Party and others. And India has been insisting strongly there must be inclusive elections. Otherwise, they will not be credible. And we have to continue to insist on that because if there are inclusive elections, anybody can get elected. And I can tell you one of the reasons why Prothom was burnt because in a national opinion survey, they declared that 70% of the people of Bangladesh want Awami League to participate in the elections. It's not that they're going to vote for them, but they want Awami League to participate in the elections so that they have democratic, inclusive elections. And that is what angered these, the Islamists, the radicals, all that. That's why they attacked them. So we must insist on inclusive elections. This present situation cannot continue. And if there are inclusive elections, everything will return to normal.
Okay, Muqtadir, before I bring in General Dhillon, is there also your appreciation because organizations like Prothom and Daily Star were not towing the line of the Jamaat, they were burnt down? And I still don't understand why would Chhayanaut be taken down? Why would a cultural center be destroyed? Muqtadir.
This is the hatred has been propagated by one of the that is the propaganda stuff has been propagated by one French-based video blogger. He has been asking people to target those secular institutions, especially Udichi and Chhayanaut, and that is done. And very unfortunate, I would say, very unfortunate, because those who want to go there, they will go. There is a school for the kids that's in Nalanda that has also been targeted. So this is very ridiculous, and we don't support it. But that has been propagated. One a section of this government is just by now supporting that person for many months, I would say, so that they can do or their follower can do whatever they want. And our security is very under stake because of these people, because they are targeting our activities, they are targeting our any kind of comments on social media or whatsoever. So we are also under serious pressure, and of course the challenge of we have currently is mob violence is terrible, and Dr. Yunus' government is not looking at this. But on the other hand, we must think about the whole process of how Sheikh Hasina being prosecuted, how the election will be held. So we have to see the whole picture of it. And
No, but I want to
last thing,
understand from you,
this
is the
government
Awami League in
is
a position to
basically
contest
backed
these
by.
elections? Is the Awami League going to contest these elections in February?
If this government allows, they have the full support
Who is
from
this
the
government?
people. Those who have supported, they
It's an
can
illegal
contest this
government.
election. They can contest election. Even they are in jail. Even not under this government probably, because it is highly backed by Jamaat. But there are possibility, if Awami League is given chance, they can contest for the next election whenever it takes place, because their support is still in Bangladesh. Few of I would say the very thin section of their leader has been fled. But even there in India, even they are not prosecuted or convicted, they
Okay.
can contest from anywhere and they will win in many cases.
Okay, give me a moment. Subir Bhaumik wanted to come in, but I think we've just lost that connection with him. But Gen Dhillon, we see a lot of activity, not just of Pakistan's ISI openly. They're not even hiding it anymore. They're generals in uniform, Pakistan army officers. They're visiting Bangladesh extensively. There are reports of Lashkar-e-Taiba ideologues and terrorist those who indoctrinate, they are visiting Bangladesh. So do you expect trouble along the India-Bangladesh border or even deeper inside India in the run-up to elections in Bangladesh?
As I said earlier, Bangladesh is India locked. Any trouble they want to create against India from within the Bangladeshi soil is going to be very, very bad for them. Now, having said that, this point which came up during the point made by the journalist from Bangladesh, that it's not the government which is doing it. This is not the government. It is not a popularly elected government. It is an imposed ruler. And they are very clearly looking away from all that what country.
Okay.
And let me make one thing very clear to people who are 50 years and below who have not seen 1971. 1971 happened, the liberation of Bangladesh happened because Punjabi Pakistani Musliman wanted to impose Punjabi onto them and Urdu onto them. And let me again tell the young boys of Bangladesh, International Language Day. The World Language Day is celebrated when the Bangladeshi people rose against Punjabi Pakistani Musliman in favor of Bangla language.
But isn't that what is happening all over again, Ambassador Sikri? That it is the Bengali language, the Bengali culture is being targeted by the Urdu, Punjabi speaking elements, some directly from Pakistan and some operating through the Jamaat. Ma'am, you're on mute.
State-sponsored terrorist groups from Pakistan, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, they have declared their presence already in Bangladesh. Asim Munir said the next attack is going to be from the east. So they're already part of the planning. But actually, it is only the majority because Awami League has a solid support of 35-40%. In addition, there are a large number of people who may not support Awami League, but they believe in the values of the liberation war. It's only if these people are allowed to participate in free, fair and inclusive elections that the situation can return to normal. Otherwise, they will continue to oppose it. It will never be a stable society. So again and again, we have to remember that it's not a question of this government. Yunus is not a legitimate government.
True.
How can you call it a government? It's a regime. They have usurped power. And if any election is to be held, it has to be held under a properly appointed caretaker government. So it is you have to have maybe the last Supreme Court judge, whatever the regulations are. This government cannot run the election. This is an absolutely very dastardly attempt to steal the elections away from the people, and the people will not take it.
And Subir, isn't that exactly what is happening right now? Muhammad Yunus trying to usurp power, steal elections, and ensure there is no level playing field for the Awami League. Will Awami League be in a position to contest elections in your view, given the current situation?
Let me make one thing very, very clear. There is no provision for interim government in Bangladesh Constitution. Yunus took oath on Bangladesh Constitution when he came into office. He didn't take oath on Quran Sharif. Okay? There's no provision for interim government. Again, the elections that are being held are held alongside a referendum. There is no provision for referendum in Bangladesh Constitution. So the authority conducting the election is illegal. The act that is going to happen in the name of election alongside referendum is illegal. Secondly, how can there be inclusive election in Bangladesh without Awami League? Can there be inclusive election in India without Congress? Just because Congress has lost election, will you ban the Congress in our country? So this whole exercise is an exercise in illegality, and the Western world, which was shedding crocodile tears over lack of democracy in Bangladesh, today seem very comfortable with an unelected illegal regime just because it serves their strategic purpose. This is one. And secondly, Yunus wants to be president. Jamaat wants to come to power. They want an Islamist takeover of the country. Jamaat leaders are today saying that ye Allah ka vidhan hai. This is the desire of Allah that everybody in Bangladesh should vote for us. I'm giving specific names. The
No,
leader
that's a
Shahjahan Chaudhary
pertinent
from
point.
Chittagong.
Let me ask Muqtadir.
Gaurav, 1 minute. He's saying that if you don't vote for Awami League, you will not go to Behest.
Yeah,
This
if you
is
don't
the
vote
kind
for
of
Jamaat.
stupid
So Muqtadir,
religious crash logic
yes,
that is
Muqtadir,
being,
that is the apprehension. That is the apprehension that a beautiful pluralistic society is now under pressure to become a radical Islamist society, sir.
this will never happen.
The pluralist
Bangladesh will
society,
remain
the pluralist
Okay.
society is under serious threat. Pluralist society is under serious threat. Liberalism is under severe threat, and there is no doubt about it. The many journalists are now very scared. The civil society members are very scared, and they are now basically uh, in a position that they don't know what will be the future. I know
Sir,
many journalists who left.
yeah, you stay
I know many
safe.
journalists.
You stay safe. I've run out of time on this part of the show, but the story in Bangladesh is something because India loves Bangladesh. Indians love Bangladesh, and we would sincerely hope that they're able to sort out their situation. We'll be tracking that story very, very closely. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me.